This review was not shot on an iPhone, so don't expect it to win any awards when it comes to festival season. But on the plus side, it's called the Everyman Movie Review, and it's about movie reviews and the opinions of every man. At least you know exactly what you're getting into. Unlike our movie choice this week, which is named after a citrus fruit, which is not grown in the area which it was shot, and is referenced to a small detail that is probably overlooked by most people. Well, I've given you a lot of clues. Any idea what movie we're talking about? Probably not, because it's a movie from 2017. But this week we are going to be talking about Tangerine on the Everyman Movie Review. So let's call this Sean Baker week on the Everyman Movie Review, because I took the opportunity to watch both Tangerine and The Florida Project back to back. Had an open Saturday, didn't really want to do anything, stay in bed, watch some movies, and then I realized both of Sean Baker's debut films were available on streaming, so hey, that seems like a good afternoon spent, right? So first things first, I dialed up Tangerine, watched that all the way through, and then right on to The Florida Project. So guess what's coming up next? But let's go ahead and dive into the pleasantries on this one, shall we? Tangerine was, of course, directed by Sean Baker. It was written by Sean Baker and Chris Burgock. Now, just so that you're not confused, that's Sean Baker, not Corey Baker, the other half of the Other podcast. Although we may write and shoot film, we are not making feature films on iPhones yet. Tangerine is starring Katana Kiki Rodriguez, Maya Taylor, and James Ransom, as well as a fantastic supporting cast of locals here in the LA area. And if you haven't seen anything about Tangerine, or if you don't remember, because it is a 2015 movie that basically hit the festival super hard and didn't get a lot of traction anywhere else. It takes place between Highland and Vermont and Santa Monica and Beverly Boulevards, all in Los Angeles. Most of it takes place on foot or on public transportation, and it involves a lot of local places that, as someone who has lived in the area for a while, I recognized. In fact, for a brief period, my company moved to a temporary building that was just maybe 300 feet away from the Donut Time, which isn't Donut Time, it's actually Trejo's Donuts, at the corner of Santa Monica and Highland. I actually rode that very same bus that Dinah gets dragged on back to Donut Time, only in the opposite direction, to get home on several occasions. I have entered the subway station at Vermont that Dinah gets to. And I will tell you, by the way, that is a really long walk. From Highland all the way to Vermont, there's no way she's making that walk. And of course, we do see a little bit of downtown. That's where she gets off the train. And downtown will always have a special place in my heart. It's where I moved to when we moved to LA. It's where I spend a lot of my time. So it was great to see all of my favorite, or a lot of my favorite places from Los Angeles in this film. So the most startling part of this movie is that it did so well and that it was shot so cheaply. It was actually made on 3 iPhone 5S's, and one that tells you how long ago it was. And I can tell you that even in 2015, the 5S was not the top-notch iPhone available. But there is something about the rawness of it that makes it even more appealing. It draws you into the story. I mean, the story is about the streets, and it just draws you into that feeling that you're following along. Like, maybe you are kind of part of this little crew. Maybe you're following them. Maybe they're walking past you. And that is a really amazing feeling. So if you don't know anything about the story, Tangerine is basically the story of the transgender sex workers that kind of have taken up residence in West Hollywood, Santa Monica Boulevard area. Katana plays Cindy, that's Sin-Dee, who recently got out of jail after doing a short stint for taking the rap for her boyfriend. Her first day out, she meets with her friend, Alexandra, who reveals that during her 30-day stint away, her boyfriend has cheated on her. And not only has he cheated, but he has cheated with a biological woman. And this sends Cindy off in a rage. 1, she's gonna find this girl, and 2, she's gonna find him and get to the bottom of this whole thing. And off we go on an adventure following mostly Cindy, although we do come back to Alexandra a bit, because Alexandra has created a ticking clock. She has a show at 7 p.m. that Cindy has promised she will be at. So now Cindy's gotta go find the girl and find James and get back in time for the show at 7 and then handle business all in one day, all while not getting in too much trouble because, of course, she just got out of jail and she doesn't want to go back. So there's a lot going on, but it's really just the story of a single day in a single person's life in the craziness that is Los Angeles. And then, of course, interspersed with that is the B stories of the lives that interact with these characters. Specifically an Armenian immigrant who drives a taxi, who has this secret love for the transgendered sex workers and spends much of his money on them instead of taking it home to his wife and child, and his mother-in-law, who also lives with them, who uses his job as a taxi driver to get out of the house to go and meet with them, and who puts at risk everything he has every time he does so. It also just basically puts a spotlight on the sex industry in Los Angeles. The hidden corners, the secret places where you don't know that these things are happening, but they are. And the people who are either by economic choice or by force put into these roles and the lives that they have to live because of it. This is a movie from 2015, so I'm not going to give a spoiler alert for this episode. It's probably going to be a little shorter than most. I'm not going to get into too many specifics because I think that it's just such a great movie that no matter what kind of moviegoer you are, no matter what kind of movies you like, you should go and see this. One, support a small film because I am in fact an indie filmmaker, and I gotta say I was inspired by watching Tangerine and the way that it was shot. I have a Pixel 3a, which has probably a 9 or 10 or 15 times better camera than the iPhone 5S. And now I can actually get a little rig, which is a stabilizer for this phone. Why am I not going out and shooting a full-on feature film on this? I mean, really, it's just because I haven't written it and I haven't done it. So, I mean, I was really inspired to let's go out and make something. And I think if you are a maker, if you like maker stuff, even if it's not film that you like to make, if it's anything, this idea that this guy wrote a script and then went out and shot it any way that he could, and he edited it himself, and he got it into festivals, and he kind of pulled himself up by his bootstraps, which is a Republican thing, and I really hate that I used that particular metaphor, but nonetheless, he did it all himself, and then he worked his way into the industry. I love that. I love it, and it was inspiring to me, and I think it'll be inspiring to you. And if you're from LA or if you've ever been here, you're going to find something you recognize in this movie. Most of it is from the Hollywood, South Hollywood, WeHo downtown area, Center City, Central LA. But you've been on Vermont Avenue, you've been on Highland, you've been on Santa Monica. You've probably seen some of these things in the background of an image that you didn't really realize. And if you've taken the bus or you've taken the train, then you've seen a lot of it a lot more up close. And this is really the color that makes LA amazing. And that's why if you've ever wanted to come here, if you've ever wanted to do anything in the industry, I think you should see this movie because LA is not a place. There are too many people who come here and they're like, I'm going to visit downtown and then later that afternoon I'll go out to Venice and then maybe we'll check out Malibu. Like, you don't know anything about LA. That is 3 days worth of adventures. You cannot hang out in downtown in the morning and then lunch in Venice. That is not going to happen. For this show, Roberto had an audition in Santa Monica, which he was kind of dreading because he was thinking about, okay, I got to leave 2 hours early and the ride back's going to take me 3. Like, that is what LA is. These things are not close and it takes a while to get there. And the things that are in between, the things that some people see as getting in their way, are what this story is made of. There are a million of these. There are 8 million of these every single day in this city. And yeah, this one is a little more interesting, but it has all of the features that all of these stories really have. There's a bit of a love story. There is anger. There's betrayal. There is a lot of betrayal. I mean, betrayal on all sides. There is friendship. There is success, and there is failure. All of those main themes, all the themes you really think about, you're going to find in this hour and 23-minute film done by an indie filmmaker on phone. That's why I cannot praise it enough, and I cannot tell you strong enough to go see it. Let's go through our points, though, before we get out of here. Number 1, if you are a racist, bigot, if you dislike transgendered people, if you think of anyone as being less than equal to yourself, you are not going to like this movie. This movie is about transgendered women. It's about transgendered men. I believe there are some male characters as well. It's about gay men in WeHo. It's about immigrants trying to make their way in this world. It is a plethora of different people that make up the fabric of Los Angeles. And listen, as a white cis man, I can say that we play a very small part in that fabric, in that plethora. There is so much more diversity. There's so much more varied and different things out there. And this movie shows that off. So if that's not attractive to you, don't watch. Honestly, I don't really have anything for you. Now, there is also a bit of gratuitous sexual situations. Not really sex, sexual situations, and there's some intimation of sex, even though we don't really see any specific sex acts. So if that's not your bag, then maybe you're going to be a little uncomfortable by that. Probably a little bit of a trigger warning for anyone who may have worked in the sex industry before. The sex workers are unapologetic about the work that they do. I kind of spoke a little bit about sex trafficking as part of the fabric, and that's obviously a unfortunate thing and should not be happening anywhere. None of the women in the film are victims of sex trafficking, but it does show kind of the underbelly of the sex industry and the places that this pops up. So that may be a bit of a problem for some people, and they may not want to kind of relive that. But otherwise, really, this film is for everyone. It is for, I imagine that the liberal movie-making, movie-going elite at the festivals patted themselves on the back when they walked out of it. But I think it's just as likely to appeal to a crowd of my friends when I made those friends in New York or Washington or Baltimore or even the place where I grew up. As long as you have an open mind and you want to experience the world through someone else's eyes, this is the kind of movie that is going to do that for you, and you're going to love it. So go on over to Hulu. That's where it's available. Pull up Tangerine, take an hour and 23 minutes of your time, and watch one of the best independent movies I have ever seen. Kudos to Sean Baker, but go check it out before it's gone. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Everyman Movie Reviews in the books. I want to thank everyone for joining me, as you always do. It's amazing to see all the support that I'm getting for both the podcast and the video forms of these reviews. Right off the top, I want to say a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon. I could not do this without you. I have a bunch of new equipment. I have even more ordered and on the way, and that is due large in part to my supporters on Patreon. And whether it's just $1 a month or even more significant donations, I appreciate every single one, and I want you to know thank you for everything that you do. Also, the moral support. I get a lot of moral support and messages from people on Patreon, and I really couldn't continue to do everything I do without you. If you want to become one of my patrons, it's super easy. Go on over to patreon.com, that's patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek, and you can support all of the stuff that I'm doing. The Everyman Movie Reviews, the Rob Explains Everything videos, and I got a whole bunch of other stuff coming very shortly, so you're not going to want to miss any of that. And if you want to be a part of it, the books, the videos, the screenplays, everything, go on over to patreon.com/Robert N. Cheek and become a supporter. You can, of course, now find Everyman Movie Reviews on social media. We have a Facebook page and a Twitter and an Instagram. Find us on Instagram at Everyman Movie Reviews. Find us on Twitter at Everyman Movie and on Facebook at Everyman Movie Reviews. You can find me and my personal accounts at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. That's going to be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere at Robert N. Cheek. You can find these videos and more on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rob Cheek. If you can't get enough of me, well, I do a weekly podcast with my buddy Corey. You can find that at odanthem.com. And of course, you can find it in podcast form on any of your favorite podcatchers, but most importantly at anchor.fm/odanthem. You can also find it at youtube.com/odanthem for the video. And we record every episode live weekly, sometime between Saturday and Monday. If you follow us on social media at odanthem everywhere, you'll get a notification. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, all together at the same time. So come in and join us for the live recording, and then check out the episode on Tuesday. New episodes of this show are every Thursday and then one in between. Usually it's going to be Sunday, but I can't promise anything, especially recently. So make sure you are checking it out. You can find it anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews. That's where you can find the podcast version of it. And if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you check out anchor.fm/Everyman Movie Reviews /message, where you can send me a message and let me know what you think. If you're watching on YouTube, that's youtube.com/Rob Cheek. It's the Everyman Movie Reviews playlist. Again, new episodes on both will be available on Thursdays. I didn't get to all the Christmas movies that I wanted to for the 12 days of Christmas, but I saw the movies. I'm going to do the reviews. So now you guys are getting a little bit of Christmas in January as I wrap up those reviews and put those out for you. So keep an eye out for those bonus episodes as well. Thank you, as always, for all your support, for checking out the video. Make sure you check out robertandcheek.com, where you can find all of this and more. New episodes of Rob Explains Everything coming soon. New short videos coming soon. A vlog for my trip home coming soon. All of that. Keep an eye out on YouTube and on all over social media. So thank you for joining me. And as always, until next time, have a great week, everybody.